Hi UI aspirants. Now UI just released their Post UTME form not quite long ago, and the exam will be in the next 1 month. And I guess you are wondering, how best do I prepare for this exam within this short period of time? Now in this video I'll be sharing with you how to do so. Hi, my name is Pelumi, also known as Kenst, a 5th-year medical student of University of Ibadan. I post educational content, self-development content, point around getting admission in Post UTME. So in case you are interested in any one of these, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be updated every single time I post new content. So without wasting too much of our time, let's get into the video. I believe that the first thing you should do if you are trying to prepare for this exam is to ask around, gather enough information about the exam itself, like which format do they use, is it MCQ, which kind of MCQ, what are the subjects that you'll be doing. Before you prepare for any exams, you have to have enough information about the exam. If you are going to prepare for O-level exam like UI, the way they say their questions is actually quite different from an exam like UTME or an exam like Post UTME. So you have to find out enough information about the exam itself. And the way you can find out information about this is by asking people that did it the previous year before yours. Now the reason I'm saying that you should ask people that did it the previous year before yours is that now if you ask someone that has done it like 4 years or so before now, the information might be a bit different, because I think as at 4 years ago or 5 years ago, it was more like still paper, pencil paper, PPT that you actually have to shade. But now I think UI Post UTME is CPT based. And also another information you should know is that the format of UI Post UTME exam is now Roman numerals. You have Roman numeral 1, they will give you a certain information. Roman numeral 2, they give you a certain information. Roman numeral 3, they give you a certain information. And then the question will now follows that, oh, which of the following is true, which of the following is wrong, which of the following correlates with this. So you should figure out about that. And I think there are quite a number of people that are selling the Post UTME past questions. So if you can lay your hands on that Post UTME past questions, so it will go a very long way into sealing your admission this year. And also the subject you'll be doing the exam is the same as what you did in your UTME, which is, if you are applying for your medical course now, English, biology, physics and chemistry. So it's literally the same, just that the questions now will be 25 for each, unlike that on the UTME. And the exam is CBT, and usually done at DLC, Shasha, around that. Once you're coming for the exam, you find out the location yourself, or it will even be shared with you, but just know that the location is at DLC. So if for whatever reason you are probably stuck, you can just ask anybody around that, oh, where is DLC, and they'll be able to show you the direction. Now another thing you should do is to make a plan. Now the plan may be a bit tricky now, because now you have lesser time to prepare for the exam. You have for like a month, and I would even advise that if you have a month to an exam, don't study up to the last day. Make sure that you have at least 3 days or 4 days of not necessarily rest, of enough time for you to go over every single thing you've read. So if I was on creating a study plan now for this exam, all the studying I have to do will end 4 or 5 days before the exam, so I have enough time to go over every single thing I've read. Because oftentimes when you read something and if you don't revisit it regularly, you tend to forget a lot of information, and it doesn't even make sense at all for you to just be thinking about it. Oh, I studied this thing, but I can't remember the answer. That would be the worst kind of thing. So if I was to create a plan, you create a plan such a way that the last few days, 4 days or 3 days, depending on what you want, you make it free. You don't study, you won't start reading new topics, you just go over the previous topic you've read, and then you use past questions. So also part of the study plan you are going to make, always include past questions, because oftentimes when you read a topic, you assume that okay, you understand it. Now is when you now pick up your a past question to actually study, to actually do it, you realize, oh, this thing is actually more difficult than you are thinking it is, and you'll be like, oh, I thought I studied it, but there's really no much difference. So it's better for you to actually use questions. Most times, if I'm the one that's trying to prepare for any exam now, and within just a month, the first thing I'll first do is to first go over the past question, because going over the past question will streamline your focus, so you know the topics you should focus on, the areas to more concentrate on. So you won't just be doing a lot, you won't be reading a lot, whereas what they will actually ask is just a fraction. Another thing you should do is to join brainstorming groups. Now, I'm very sure that there are a lot of brainstorming groups going around now. I will advise you, I'll beg you, please join one of them. Now, the benefit of joining a brainstorming group is like it's too big. First off, you meet people that are writing the same exam, like people that are actually applying for the same course that you are, and that gives you a sense of more like sense of belonging, and it also gives you an idea of how competitive that particular course is. It gives you an idea of what you're actually in for, because oftentimes when you are just alone, you might be thinking, oh, probably your UTM score is high or this. Is when you join all this brainstorming group and then you hear other people score, oh, there's fire on the mountain, I have to put in more work, I have to try and close the gap so I will like gain admission. So join brainstorming group. And aside from that, there are a lot of questions that they tend to like brainstorm on that group that it may not be repeated word for word, but probably the concept that someone on the group explained about the question might actually be what we save in your exam. Now, if you are the type that cannot study alone, you know that you will be distracted if you are trying to study alone, then the best thing for you to do is to join a tutorial center. Now, there are also challenges associated with joining a tutorial center, because you are the kind of person that get distracted easily when you make friends in the tutorial center and then you guys just play around instead of actually studying. Then you may have to now sit down and actually think about what's the proper way forward. But if you're the kind of person that cannot read at home, you are not that disciplined enough to read, to sit at home and read like consistently, because now you have a very short period of time to actually read, so you have to be consistent in that way to cover as much as you can within that short period of time. So if you're the kind of person that cannot do that, then it's better for you to join the tutorial center, because I'm very sure that the tutorial center gives you the same sense as a brainstorming group. Just like this is more like physical, you feel the effect more if you actually join the tutorial center. That's if you're the kind of person that do better when you are being taught. But if you are the person that you believe that you can sit down at home and read it yourself, fine. But if you will be sitting down at home to actually study all these things yourself, make sure that you go for a mock exams. Now, if you are just reading at home and you don't do any mock exam, you won't really be. Now, the kind of pressure, or there's kind of pressure that doing an exam actually does to you. Now, it gives you an idea of the areas that you're having more problems with, so that you'll be able to like work on them. And also it gives you an idea of how to manage your time in the exam. For me now, when I was writing post UTME that time, I realized that okay, biology saves me time. I can answer a lot of biology questions in a very short period of time. Then after that, then English, then after that physics, then after that chemistry. But then that's not just enough of which one will save you time. You have to also think about which one you are good at as well too, because if English will save you a lot of time, but your probability of getting a lot of questions in English is low, it won't really make sense for you to now waste your time on English. So most of this I'm saying is more like a personal stuff. But if you attempt a mock exams, you'll be able to like figure most of these things out. And I would recommend that you actually do at least 3 mock exams before your exam, before the main exam. That way you'll have tried some new ideas out before you actually go to the exam. Don't let the first time you do the post UTME, or you have an experience of that post UTME be that day that you write the post UTME. Make sure you have an idea of how to actually an attempt at the exam or at questions before that day. Now, so I've said a lot. Now try as much as to make sure I reiterate every single thing that I've said. So I think the first thing you should do is what? Find out enough information about the school from someone that just did it the previous year, which are the 100 level guys. Then after that, make sure you create a study plan, and your study plan should include solving past questions topically. So once I'm done reading this topic, you solve the past questions on it. Then the next thing you should do is joining brainstorming groups F series. Gives you an idea of how competitive the course you're applying for, how competitive it is. As at 2015, when I wrote my first UTME, I had no idea how competitive it was. But I was just fresh out of secondary school, and I was feeling, my score is actually quite fair. It's fair. It was until I later joined the brainstorming group when the exam was too close, like a week or so, that I started sittings, and it was already too late at that time. So join brainstorming group will give you an idea of how competitive of course is, and you tend to like find friends that can more like push you a bit to study harder. And if you are the type that cannot study alone, try to join a tutorial centers. Now, if you're the kind that also get distracted at tutorial centers, then you have to sit down and really figure out what is best for you. Then the last, and I think this is more like the most important, is for you to try to do mock exams 2 or 3 or 4 before that day, so you have a lay of the land. You have an idea of how to manage your time in the exam more and areas to work on before the exam. So I think that's that, guys. So I hope you find this very helpful. If you do, kindly hit this like button, and if you have anybody writing UI Post UTME, kindly share this video with them. Please share with them, and until next time, bye.